Former Governor Seriake Dickson raised the issue that the burden of proof must move to INEC. I agree with him 100%. INEC are the ones who are supposed to prove that the election they did were fair, credible, and what? Free. Not the candidate. The candidate doesn't have electoral materials. And don't forget that INEC is so good at frustrating candidates by not releasing the electoral materials to them. So most of them, they just file their case in court without the backup documents. And at the end of the day, the court throws the case away based on technicalities. But they did not hold INEC responsible. They did not subpoena INEC to come and showcase how they arrive at the figures they announced. That is the point. So now, with what Senator Seriake Dickson is saying, it means that INEC will be the one to show court how the person they announced winner won. So when people are not challenging an election result, INEC will come to prove that the person they announced is the winner. How? They will provide the documentation. So you can see, when they know that they are the ones to prove this election result, they will sit up to do what is right and let them put maybe minimum of 10 years in prison for them in that law. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Andy Media TV. Why the whole lot is going on in the political space in Nigeria. The good news is that Mr. President just sworn in the new INEC chairman, George Amupitan. So I think the work is cut out for him, and he has even just 2 weeks or thereabout to begin to show himself, show what he can do and how he can be able to do all that, because the election, coming up in Anambra, the gubernatorial election in Anambra State is coming up, I think, on the 8th of November, so which is barely like 2 weeks or thereabout. So I think he's lucky to have something to start off with, in as much as he doesn't have much time to do, all the preparation. But I know the people in INEC has been, working on that, prior to his appointment. So, and I believe there are so many good heads in INEC who can be able to, support him to be able to get the, the result in Anambra State going. So the outcome of Anambra election, we still have the one coming up in Osun State too, and some other states. So all those ones, all these off-cycle election results is what's going to show Nigeria, the signal of what is going to happen in 2027. So that is why I'm glad that there's some kind of pretest for him to be able to prove himself on what he can do to build the confidence of Nigerians back to the electoral process. So that is the main thing for him to achieve. So guys, I have quite a whole lot to discuss concerning his appointment, concerning what is ahead of him and what I expect him, to do vis-a-vis the role of the National Assembly in ensuring that there is a free, fair, and credible election come 2027 across board. So, but before I start, discussing the issues that brought me to this video, if you are new to my channel, guys, kindly like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel, and just click on that notification bell so that once my next new video comes, you will be among those to be notified. Getting these videos as they hot is one good thing you will do for yourself, so you'll be abreast with information and with what is going on, because I do a lot of critical thinking, trying to bring up a lot of issues and ideas on how to make things work for the country. So not virtually everybody doing video on what is not working or what is working is an enemy of the country, but we are trying to bring up our own ideas and hope that our leaders listen to us and put this into perspective so that the country will be good for everybody. So guys, let's start the conversation one after another. I have series of points I have earmarked to discuss in this video. First and foremost, if you follow what's going on in National Assembly, you will understand that there is already a bill which the National Assembly is working on to review the Electoral Act and be able to make it more better for the forthcoming elections. And I think at this point is already on the second reading. But something caught my interest when I saw the former governor of Bayelsa State, Seriake Dickson, who is also a senator, representing one of the constituencies in the state, speaking. It got my attention that somebody is not thinking the way I'm thinking, because if you watch some of the videos I've done when it comes to, election integrity and all that, you hear me always saying that the most unfair thing to do is to ask somebody who is not an election umpire, who does not participate in the planning and the execution of an election. He is just a participant as a candidate only. So his name is just on the ballot paper. That's just where he featured. And you are not asking that person to come to court to prove that they won the election. How will he prove? Even if he has all the election results coming out from every ward across where he contested, it's still difficult for him to prove it. That is the honest truth, because court must find one technicalities or the other to throw away his case. So it becomes very difficult asking such individual to come and prove in court that they won that constituency or that state or the presidency or whatever position the person has contested. So, and I keep saying that INEC always walk free because they are not being held accountable. And that's the reason they continue to do sham elections, shabby elections. If INEC is being held accountable, they would have sit up by now. They would have been doing something that is more spectacular than what they have been doing over the years. I was listening to Prof. Chido Dinkalu, who was the former executive secretary of the Human Rights, Commission. And you heard what he said. He was giving statistics, what the situation was during Jaga's time, how the number of cases that went to court dropped from 80-something% down to 50-something%, over 30-something% decrease in the number of cases that went to court. And again, when Jaga did 2 elections, and he still brought it down from 50-something% to 41%. So showing you that there was improvement in the quality of election, because this consistent court cases is what is showing you that people don't believe in the system. That's why they keep challenging the case in court. Remember, presidential election was done in the US. Nobody went to court. Many people contest for Congress and all that. In the US, people don't go to court. Once they announce the result, people take it to heart. Why? Because they believe in the process. But our case, no, even local government chairman, they go to court, even councillors, so why? That shows you that our system is not really, working. But Jaga came in, Professor Tahiru Jaga, when he was INEC chairman, he came in and did something spectacular by bringing in the card reader, to streamline, those who are clear to vote and stuff like that. And in 2015, you saw incumbent president was defeated, and people voted massively for President Buhari at that time, thinking that he's coming in to make a change in the nation. But one of the worst presidents Nigeria has ever had, no matter what you think. So a lot of things happened under his administration. But I don't want to go into all that. Now, Professor Mahmoud Yakub now took over from Jaga. Look at where we are. Those progress Jaga achieved went down the drain, because today the numbers has already skyrocketed back to over 80-something% of number of cases that went to court after election. So it's so it's so painful that you take one step forward, you take 10 steps backwards. That's so painful, and it's just because people has refused to do what is right. And I keep referencing to Professor Nenoti, who was a returning officer for Abia State. She refused to do what is wrong and stood her ground to do what is right, even if it cost her life. She did it, and that is why the governor of Abia State, Governor LSOT, became the winner from Labour Party, a party that is not even known across the country, just because somebody stood her ground to do what is right. That is just what Nigeria needs. It's not that most of the laws are not good; they are good, but it's just because the implementers have refused to do and follow the law. They circumvent the law. You remember how Yakub Mahmoud came out and was telling us a lot of things. That we transmit a result electronically, they will use beavers to do this, they will do that and do that. He was giving Nigerians hope. Even in Chatham House, he was saying the same thing. At the end of the day, what happened? They shut down the server, claiming that there was a glitch. Till today, Professor Yakub Mahmoud did not tell Nigerians what that glitch is all about. There was no audit that came out to show us that, that day, so and so thing happened on the system, and that's why the system was not picking the results. Nothing. Till he left office, nobody held him accountable. Even the president that appointed him, the citizens, even the election observers, even the NGOs under election and all, nobody held him accountable. He did his shit and he left. And that is so pathetic, because people are not held accountable. That's why they do whatever they want to do and they get away with it. So till date, Yakubu did not explain to Nigerians the meaning of glitch. Glitch is just a name to cover what they did behind the scene, what they did at the back door. So that is the point. So now I was glad when I saw, the new INEC chairman, Judge Amupitan, when he was going through his confirmation in the Senate. He spoke elegantly, telling Nigerians that he mentioned this issue of the glitch, and he said that today nobody knows exactly what the glitch is all about. So I expect him to do an audit of that election, 2023 election, to tell Nigerians exactly what comprises that glitch that Professor Yakub Mahmoud was telling Nigerians at that time. Election result, people protested that this result is not what we have. We have our agents across all wars. The result you are calling is not what it is. Dino Melaya, I respect him that day. He stood up. They want to arrest him for standing up to speak against the result. And what did Yakubu did? He was even ordering him, if he don't sit down, he will be taken out of the venue. And what happened next? 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. he announced the result and asked people to go to court. Just like that, because he knows that the court will support what he did. And they actually did like that. How can he tell us that he will transmit election result electronically, and then the court is telling us that IREV is not electronic collation center. So what is going on in the country just to justify the rubbish and the sham election that Professor Yakubu did? So these guys are just working hand in hand together. And I hear Professor Shid Odinkan was saying that Amupitan going to face a lot of principalities in INEC because all those top guys in the presidency as governors and whoever they are, they have eyes and ears in INEC. And that is true. I don't doubt what he said. They report to them every move the INEC chairman does. So they know how to counter him because they are monitoring to make sure that his moves must be beneficial to them. That is what it is. So that's why you see many people, very nice persons, once they get into political office like this, they misbehave, they do things that you don't know them, doing before. Because the system will cage them. So, and most of them, they don't resign. That is the point. So people should learn to resign when the thing is not in line with their conscience. So let's see and give, the new INEC chairman, George Amupitan, let's give him, the prof, let's give him some benefit of that and see what he can deliver when it comes to Anambra election, the Osun election, and the rest of cycle election that is coming before the main general election in 2027. So back to what, was happening in the National Assembly. Former Governor Seriake Dickson raised the issue that the burden of proof must move to INEC. I agree with him 100%. INEC are the ones who are supposed to prove that the election they did were fair, credible, and what? Free. Not the candidate. The candidate doesn't have electoral materials. And don't forget that INEC is so good at frustrating candidates by not releasing the electoral materials to them. So most of them, they just file their case in court without the backup documents. And at the end of the day, the court throws the case away based on technicalities. It happened to, P2B versus Boname, Tinubu, and Atiku and all that. It happened before our eyes. But they did not hold INEC responsible. They did not subpoena INEC to come and showcase how they arrive at the figures they announced. That is the point. So now, with what, Seriake Dickson, Senator Seriake Dickson is saying, it means that INEC will be the one to show court how the person they announced winner won. So when people are not challenging election result, INEC will come to prove that the person they announced is the winner. How? They will provide the documentations on how the result was collated from the ward to the local government, to the state, to the federal, if it's presidency, but if it's state, to the state level. So they have to prove it. So when they prove it and they satisfy everybody that yes, what they did was the right thing, they follow the processes, then the court can uphold the judgment. So you can see when they know that they are the ones to prove this election result, they will sit up to do what is right. Because when you are proving an election result, they will match it, they will place it lopsidedly with what the electoral law is saying. Did you satisfy this law? Yes, they tick. Do you satisfy that law? Yeah. Which one did they breach? They hold them accountable for breaching it. And let them put maybe minimum of 10 years in prison for them in that law. Because people need to be held accountable. Nigeria can't spend billions to procure technology and all these things to do election. At the end of the day, the election becomes shabby. So it doesn't make sense. Now, with this proposal, which I concur, I think that if it happens by 2027, there will be a lot of changes in electoral result. There's no point depriving somebody that won election and giving it to somebody who did not win. But based on that, so I will play you that video now so that you will hear what he said and his reasons for asking INEC to take responsibility of the election that they conducted. Let's look at that video and we'll be right back to continue other points that we have for today. Don't go away.
The burden of proof in electoral matters, Mr. President, must shift to INEC. That is where it rightly and properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? INEC is the electoral body conducting elections. INEC appoints people. A candidate and party has no control over them. INEC does whatever they do, juggle figures and announce. Do cancellations, they explain to no candidate, they explain to no party.
Welcome back. So you heard what Seriake Dickson said, and I agree with him, and I know you too that's watching this video agrees with him. Because now, there will be no more glitch. Alright? There will no more be glitches, because they will know that they will need to prove what that glitch is in court, and they will provide evidence that such glitches happen. So now you can see that in 2027, if they pass this law with this, content in it, you're going to see that INEC will sit up, and there will be some level of changes, when it comes to election result. So I don't know if you agree with this, thing, but if you say that this burden of proof shifting to INEC instead of the candidate is not right, tell us why in the comment section, and we'll also hear your own views on why you think so. And we continue to debate till we, when it comes to this kind of issues, we disagree to agree. That's the way it works. But for me personally, I agree with that. That's a good step in the right direction. All right. Now, let's look at other points. You remember that the court ruled that, IREF is not a collation center, electronic collation center. So that ruling, to me, is not the right ruling, because that is exactly what IREF was designed to do. As they are uploading result, the IREF is already tabulating the result and showing it real time, so that people will be knowing who is winning, who is leading, who has this point, who has that point, and stuff like that. That's exactly what it was designed for. So if you are not telling us that it's not electronic correction center, what exactly is IREF? That is the question. We should have asked the court to explain. So to me, I think they need to put it in the law that IREF must be a electronic collation center. It happened in South Africa. As they are, uploading the result, people are looking at the screen, seeing them. Somebody who was winning before is coming down because he lost in this state or he lost in this constituency and stuff like that. So that is what it is. It happened in the US. I was following the election result, in real time. As they're uploading, we are seeing it. Even on TV, the people on TV were also doing their own calculations. At the end of the day, we already know the winner. You don't need INEC to come and be announcing winner. That is the point. People already know. So it compels INEC to stick to what IREF is saying. Not they will now come and bring one paper they have written overnight to come and tell Nigerians that this is the winner. No. In America, that day, even in the Senate and in the Congress, you saw the Senate, the reps, you saw the numbers are coming, going. People are already counting, knowing how many that is remaining. You will see the number of seats of the senators, the total number of senators, total number of reps. Then you will be seeing red and blue. In this constituency, who won? If it's red state, it shows red. If it's blue, that's how people know how many number of Congress members are Democrats and how many are Republicans. So you don't need to be waiting for one man in INEC to come and sit down with cameras and begin to announce. You already know the results. So the man is just to validate it that yes, this is the winner. That's how free and fair election works. So they need to put IREF as electronic correction center. That is what it is. So, and design it in such a manner that it will not be taking anything that is not result sheet. Because last election, we saw people even uploading pictures, uploading houses in the portal, and it was accepted. No, the portals need to be designed in such a manner that you only accept a form that is the result sheet. That's anything that is not result sheet, the IREF will reject accepting it. So that's the way they need to redesign, the IREF and make it an electronic correction center. That will help our elections to prove the integrity of our election. So, and you remember, money is invested in all these things. So that's why I'm so angry with Professor Yakubu. All the billions he collected, did BVAS, IREF, and all this things. At the end, you did not use them. So what is the point of investing so much billion? You only use BVAS to do accreditation. Then the IREF, the money invested there is gone. It was not used. And you lied to the people. And that's why people are angry with him. Because he lied to them, he deceived them. And many people came out en masse to vote because they now believed him that there will be credible election, that their vote will count. But no, he lied. And nobody held him accountable. He lied to the National Assembly. And that is a criminal offense. Lying under oath. That's what it is. So nothing happened. Nobody subpoenaed him. Nobody did anything, including the court, who are the last hope of the common man. They did nothing. Instead, they upheld the rubbish that he did. So that's painful. Let's hope the new chairman is going to do something differently based on what he said in National Assembly. Now, Nigeria believes in action, not in what people are saying. So, and I hope he understands. Another point I was trying to, raise is that they need to establish that election offenses tribunal, stuff. And I think the National Assembly is working on it already before now. So they need to establish that. You saw what happened in Lagos, where the members of, once some group of thugs will be coming, intimidating voters, threatening their life that if they vote for this party or not this party, they're going to kill them. And police will be watching. And all these stress are going on. And they did nothing. So when they, establish this offense tribunal, it begins to try those who usurp electoral processes, like those thugs that comes from, the transport union and the rest of them. So this is what we need. When you begin to try people who usurp election, who try to, destroy the electoral process, or who threaten people where to vote and where not to vote, or who stops people from coming out to vote, and those who fund, all those thugs, and those who share money vote buying. These are the things that you need to try in this tribunal. By the time you jail the first politician, second politician, 10 aboros who does all these things, others will sit up. That is how things change. So, but all the things that happened in Lagos, Igbos were stopped from coming to vote in Lagos. Anybody that looks like Igbos were also stopped to vote. They threatened them, they maim people, they kill people, and nothing happened. Nobody was arrested, nobody was tried. It just ended up like that. That is very unfair to those who were deprived, their right to exercise their franchise and those who lost their lives. So these are the issues we are bringing up here. So the National Assembly will facilitate and work with the speed of light to establish, that tribunal. Because one thing I know about this 10th Assembly, if it is something that is interests the president, they do it within 24, 48 hours. It doesn't take them time to do. Look at the appointment of the INEC chairman. It doesn't take more than 2 weeks. They have finished everything, confirmation, swearing in. That's how things are supposed to work. But not on isolated cases. Everything they are doing is supposed to move with the speed of light. National anthem was changed under 24 hours. When it's loan request from the president, it doesn't take how many hours. They are done with it already. So that's what we want them to do. Things that concern Nigerian citizens, they should also move with the speed of light and get it done. That's what we want. So that's another point that need to be in this bill. They need to, see how they, work that out. So another point that I'm trying to bring up here is pre-election cases is one of, the problems that we have. So, and that's where INEC comes in to strengthen internal democracy, right? Because if they do so, most of these pre-election cases will not be coming up. When INEC, when party chairman will go and be substituting people's name, we had that kind of, statement when the Labour Party for the former chairman that left. We had that kind of, how they forge people's signature, remove people that have been, chosen as candidate, and then replace them with someone else who has paid more money and stuff like that. So all these things are pre-election matters that people go to court for, and they linger. When the main election has been concluded, court will now pass judgment, and they will now say the person that won is not the main person that's supposed to be on the ballot, that is the other person, and they move the votes to the other person. All these things it doesn't really make sense. So I think that the law should ensure that all pre-election cases must be heard and determined prior to the main election, so that the person sitting for the main election will be the right candidate. So this need to be done, and they need to, if it's supposed to be in the electoral law, they put it there that all pre-election cases must be determined ahead of the election, so that the rightful candidate will be on the ballot. Again, the similar circumstance, when election results have been announced, there will be no swearing in until any party that went to court to contest the election result, the court must have heard and determined that case before they swear in the person. It's not that they announce President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president and May 29 is sworn in, right? And then those who contested with him are challenging the result in court. He's already the president. He's not acting president. He's already the president. And he now controls the whole paraphernalia of government as the president. And then maybe Atiku or P2B or Showore or whoever it is challenging the result in court. So what is the fair deal there? How fair would it be? It's no more fair, because he is in charge now. He is in control of the whole gamut of government. So there's no way to be a fair deal for those who are challenging the result. So, but when they have declared him winner, for example, and everybody, they went to court and the case is still in court, nobody is declared the president, and by the time the court now announced that after all they have reviewed that this person is the rightful winner, that is when they can now sue the person. That's why they can now swear the person in as the president or governor or local government chairman or what have you, or senator or House of Rep member. So they should calculate those days. How many days will it take for the election petition to be heard and determined in the appeal court for those that will end up in the appeal court, and then to the Supreme Court, to those who will end up in Supreme Court. So they must calculate these days to ensure that they have the ample time to have dispensed this, election, and then be able to have some, period or weeks to be able to swear the rightful person in. So these are the things that need to be done. I know the law already has to play the days. So the Electoral Act now need to squeeze itself to fit into the law, so that they won't start going back first to amend the law, the Constitution. So with what the Constitution has provided, they should now look at how they will squeeze in the Electoral Act to fit into, all those processes as enshrined in the Constitution. So that is one task that they need to do. So it's not fair that somebody has been sworn in and is still in court with other people. So how will the judiciary pass a fair judgment to remove the incumbent president and say he's not the winner? It has never happened in the history of Nigeria, and it cannot happen. That's the honest truth. So let's be fair. and be truthful to ourselves. So they need to do what is right at this point. Then the issue of election financing is another part of it. The law need to capture it properly. Even here in the US, if you want to donate, there's a limit you can donate as an employee. There's limitations how much you can donate, and stuff like that. So you need to have proper electoral finances so that we'll be able to track the funding that is coming in during election time. Because when you see how much people spend, they have already monetized the whole electoral process. They have dollarized it. You know what happens during the delegate system when the delegates are to, elect the candidate of the party. Dollar flows everywhere across parties. There's no specific party that does that. Both APC, both PDP, they do that. Apart from maybe the smaller parties that don't have much delegates, that one person will just come out and say I will contest for president and take some responsibilities in the parties and become the party candidate, like we see mostly like in SDP, in ADC, and the rest of them at that time. But now they need to strengthen those laws that can be able to track election financing. Where is your money coming from? Who are the people funding this election? And all that. So it's very, very critical because it helps you to, nip in the bud anything called money laundering, even CFT, countering terrorism financing, CTF. So all these things are very important. So the CBN need to stand on their ground to ensure that these kind of things come into the law. So it helps, the country. Not during an election, billions will be flying everywhere. And that is why when they win and get into that position, first thing they do is to award different kinds of contracts, useless contracts, just to recoup their money. Contracts they will not even do. They just award humongous billions and trillions of contracts. It's just an SPV for them to recoup those billions they spend, sharing it to people and doing vote buying so that they can be able to get back on track. So that's just what it is. And when you look at the way the electoral process works, when these guys win election, go in, first 2 years, they're already strategizing for the next election. So it's like they are functional for the country for 2 years. The other 2 years is election planning and how to raise money and stuff like that. So we need to look into that. Election financing is very, very critical. And again, another part of it is the campaign issue. I don't know which law is going to come in. I don't think it has anything to do with electoral law, but we need to look into that. They need to ensure that anybody that contests election and wins, as far as you are in that capacity that you won the election, you are not to decamp from your party until you have exhausted that 4 years you were elected. So you can't win election under PDP and then after 2 months you won an election, or 1 year you have served under PDP. You say you are decamping to APC or to ADC, and you now take the mantle of PDP and move to ADC, and the party loses everything. The people that voted you based on party membership, they lose everything. People that believe in you and trust in you, they lose everything. Because when you move from PDP to ADC or APC, the party ideology there is different from the party ideology in PDP. And many people followed you in PDP because they believe in the ideology of PDP. And now you have moved to APC, which is contrary to the ideology. So you have robbed them of their representation and whatever it may be. So it's important for this to be a law that, just like they have it for the state's House of Assemblies, that when a lawmaker in the state, they comes to another party, he loses his seat. That's the way it should be, both for president, both for governor, both for National Assembly members, state assembly members, local government chairman, and councillors. So once you win election in any party, you must finish that tenure in that party. When you have finished that tenure in that party, you can decamp to any party you want to decamp. So you can't hold electoral position and be decamping to another party, but you can decamp when you have served your term in that party. That's the way it should work, and that's what is fair, both to the political parties, both to the members of that party, and what have you. That's my own thinking, and that's my own belief. And that's the way to make the system work. So that people can't just be taking advantage of political parties. You just run into one small party, use them, win an election, you decamp, and now join bigger party. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? And again, this 2023 election, we saw a lot of trash, that came into the portal. We saw a lot of useless results where a result sheet is mutilated 10 times and it was still accepted. It's crazy. Just go to the bank, fill your teller to withdraw money, make a mistake on the date, you cancel it, sign on top, is allowed. But make multiple mistakes on that check and cancel and mutilate. Even if you sign on, the cashier will tell you, no, go and get another form and fill another form. It happens in the bank. So it happens everywhere. So how is it that our own electoral commission will be accepting result that is mutilated 20 times, 10 times, cancel and change figure and, convert, 10 to 100 and all those things. So the system should be designed that any result sheet that is mutilated more than twice will not be acceptable. That will make those people inputting the result to be careful when they input that result. It will make it impossible to change election figures. So with that, you will eliminate a lot of crisis, because it's unacceptable. The kind of result that came into, you go and check IREV, you will see mutilated results. It was flying everywhere. They are changing, even where they wrote the number in West, they will cancel and was changing and changing just to make APC to win in that place, or to make PDP to win in that place, and what have you. So that is ridiculous. So there should be a law or policy coming from INEC that they will not accept mutilated results. So when there's a law, INEC will now do their policy in line with that law, the policy that guides the election. So it's the responsibility of INEC to now establish it that any mutilated result will not be acceptable. And IREV will also be designed to throw away any mutilated result. Once you want to upload it, it will tell you result mutilated. You can't go. So this is what we need to do. Then the collation centers, there should be CCTV camera in collation centers, so they will see those who comes in there, what they are doing there. There will be cameras there, and these cameras will be monitored. So that because that's where they change the result, at the collection center. When people have finished voting, stand in the sun for hours, the whole day to vote, and then they go to collections and they change the whole results, and then move it to INEC to announce. So all these things need to stop. Shomole was speaking against, electoral fraud. Those that are, kind of manipulating the election result, rigging the system. It should stop and stuff like that. Well, it was quite a welcome development, but it was surprising that he was saying so, because in Edo State, we know what happened in Edo State. How the incumbent governor was there. He was everywhere. People were alleging, how the result was manipulated to put the guy that is there today. So I don't know. So if he's an advocate of war against rigging, I think Edo State would have, showcased that the result is the intentions of the state, of the people of the state. So I don't know, but people repent and people change. But let's believe that what he's saying is what he meant, because we are known, our politicians, to say one thing and be doing something else. So, but let's hope and see, because we all want our country to work, and anybody that is speaking and working in that direction, we always support, the person. Just like I'm supporting Seriake Dickson for the points he raised concerning INEC bearing the burden of proof. So that is the most other things I want them to look at as they are in Lagos now. Looking at the the electoral the bill concerning election. So I think I don't know if there's a way to send your own views to them to look at and adopt and what have you. I don't know if there's any channel for that. But the point is, the new INEC chairman, the Professor George Amupitan, have said that they're already working on the electoral act, and they will be glad if they accord him the opportunity to kind of provide a lot of things he felt that need to be reviewed, so that the INEC can be able to function optimally. And that's fine. And Seriake Dickson also mentioned the issue of funding for INEC, and I don't think they have been lacking funding anyways, but maybe they need more money. But it's not about more money. We need serious and credible results. That's what, when you're asking for more money, there should be a proof to show that you are delivering the needed result. And that's when you ask for more money, people can be able to listen, because most of this money are borrowed. And when they are borrowed, the payment is tied to the citizens. And citizens can't just be borrowing, be paying debts without, getting commensurate result. That is, what it is. So guys, I don't know. There are many other things to talk about concerning this, but I don't know what your own views on what you think that also need to come into the electoral laws. Please kindly drop them at the comment section, and then we'll continue to deliberate on that. And let's see how we improve, our electoral system to ensure that we get the quality leaders that we wanted. So that is, what it is. So guys, I'm going to leave it out here, and watch out to see what your views are on the comment section. It's open for you, right? And also be respectful in your comments, so that we'll be able to, think, constructively. And if you are new to my channel, guys, please don't forget to like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel and put on your notification bell, so that when my next new video drop, you'll be among those to be notified. That's quite a whole lot. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you in my next video. I'm signing out. See ya.